Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Adventures Travel Club television show. It's Marv Harrison and
Betty Gerardin.
And we'd like to welcome you on this adventure. We're going to take a bus, right?
I like buses sometimes.
They're fun.
Sometimes. Yeah, they are fun. A lot more fun than I thought.
Yeah, in fact, here we are in Madeira already. Boy, I'll tell you. And then on up the road. We have some really fine people that travel with us on this particular trip. And I've got a chance to meet a lot of these people, some for the first time, and some had been with us before.
Oh, yeah. Now, that lady right there, Montana, she's going to go with us on our Holy Land trip.
And when's that coming up?
Yeah, there's her daughter right there. And we have a lot of people from Porterville that go with us on trips, and they're really nice, and it's lots of fun.
Oh, yes. Well, we certainly are
I should stand here really and identify all of them, shouldn't I? Because it's kind of nice. So maybe the next time around I'll point them out and who they are. Yeah.
For me, I have to have name tags. I've got to have one on myself, I think that people should be born with name tags.
Of why?
Oh, yeah. Then you don't get embarrassed when you walk up to somebody and, they remember your name and you don't remember theirs.
Oh, I know, but you just say hi and then talk a little bit, and it comes back.
It comes back to you?
Sure.
I don't know. The older I get, my memory seems to get a little worser, as they say, huh? But anyway, yeah, we had a full busload, didn't we?
There's Porterville people right there coming down with us, yeah, and Hanford, and Kingsburg.
Yeah. Pardon me.
Oh my goodness, nice you just stood there and took everybody, huh?
Well, sure. We want to make sure that everybody was identified.
These people came out from Michigan to be with us. Wasn't that wonderful? Yeah, they'd been with us on a trip before, and Johnson's called them and said, "Come on, go with us." And they did come.
So they did. Yeah. Right. Oh, that's great. Well, a good group of people. And
they're Sanger people.
Yeah. And so we're going to pretty soon head on up the road again. And we're going to go on this particular trip. We're going to go up to Old Town in Sacramento, and then from there we're going to go up to Shasta Dam, and then we're going to continue up the road from there as far as that's concerned. And in fact, on this whole series, we're going to have a visit up to Victoria, British Columbia, and we're going to go up to Whidbey Island, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, here we are already now in Sacramento. That was fast,
Isn't that
wasn't
great?
it, huh?
Oh, my daughter lives up there, and if I could travel this fast, how fun it would be. I'd see her more often.
You need that Star Trek thing where you just go in there and zap, and bingo, you're automatically transported. Well, what it keeps amazing me about Sacramento is the new buildings that you see all over the place. They've really done a beautiful job.
Sacramento's a great place to live. You're so close to everything. You can go down up to Tahoe. You can go to San Francisco. There's untold things that you can do living in Sacramento.
That's true, and it's really beautiful along the river too. We're, of course, where we are right here in Old Town. But you have to give the city fathers their due with the way that they have kept Old Town and have kept it going and restored it. I guess a lot of these buildings did have to be restored.
Oh, they were all restored, but that's what we're trying to do here in Fresno. We want to do downtown again, and really,
yeah, but in some ways it's a little too late because we tore down all of the Victorian buildings.
But even so, the things that are there, I think it's
well, we
nice.
can keep what's there. That's true.
Yeah.
And I think they were very wise to do this in Sacramento. Because look what this does, Betty, just for bringing tourists in.
That brings
tourist
lots
dollars.
of money.
Oh,
lots of money.
Lots of money.
And it's a variety of things there. I've been many, many times simply because Susie's there. And when we go to Sacramento, we always go to Old Town.
Yeah.
And we went through the train station there, which is really
Isn't that museum
excellent.
incredible?
Yes,
That is one of the best I've ever seen, I'll tell you. It's really great. And, it's a lot of fun, too. We made a lunch stop here so that people could go in, have lunch, and then, of course, do a little bit of shopping, too, because no matter where we go, I don't care if it's in the United States or if it's Timbuktu, people
shop.
That's right. People like to do shopping. And, of course, that's part of the fun of traveling, isn't it?
Oh, sure.
To go out and spend your money on things that you brought home and say, what did I do? What did I spend money on this for?
Peggy Walker travels with me all the time. In fact, there she is right now. And she's a great T-shirt buyer. She brings home T-shirts to her kids and to herself, and I bet she must have 100 T-shirts.
Well, that's something useful. Now, Mary said that she wanted to stop in here because she had a sweet tooth. And would you look at that peanut brittle?
Now, that doesn't appeal to me at all.
It doesn't?
No. It's too hard on your teeth.
Well, if they're your own or
Well, they're
if
my
store-bought.
own, and that's why I want to take care of them.
Okay, this little kid was real cute. And here we are kind of across the street from which is the Old Town, and we're right there on the river, of course. And for those of you that have visited Sacramento and visited Old Town, of course, you're probably familiar with this. And for those of you that haven't been, I'll tell you, even for a little weekend or a day trip, it's really fun just to go up to Old Town in Sacramento.
You can actually take the train up there too.
That's
just
right,
to Stockton,
yeah.
and then you take the bus on up. With these little, well, we haven't seen them yet, but the ships or boats, steamboats.
Steamboats, yeah.
Up along the dock, which we'll take a look at pretty soon. They have a very fine cruise up and down the river there.
Oh, yes, that's for sure. But one of these, just since we were there, one of these has burned down, which was really surprising.
Yeah.
That was tragic.
It must have been vandalism.
Yeah, it's possible,
Or
unless
arson.
there was a fire in the kitchen or something like that. I don't know. You think with a vessel this old, and of course as old and dried out as probably a lot of the wood is, it probably just went up like a tinderbox.
But it's so elegant inside. I've been there several times, and we didn't eat there, but there were a lot of people eating, and it's very elegant with heavy linen tablecloths.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
beautiful.
nice.
And the rooms are
And this one's turned into a hotel,
Yeah.
the Delta King.
And that's the
there
one
you can
I'm
stay
really
there.
talking about.
Is
the
that right?
Delta
Uh-huh.
King, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I know that they do have river rides on some of these that do go. In fact, I guess you can go all the way to San Francisco on some of these. Mm-hmm. So not that particular one.
Maybe
because
one of
it
these
was-
days we'll think about that.
Hey,
huh?
that would make a
Yeah.
good trip, wouldn't it?
Sure,
Yeah,
sure.
it certainly would. That would be really great. Well, you can see, look at all the carvings on this. It's beautiful. Sort of looks like out of one of the old movies, doesn't it?
Well, maybe they brought the camera up there and took. No, they wouldn't, because they can make this so easy. The facade is all they really need.
Well,
It's
some
not
of
in
these
the
may have been
screens.
used in pictures in the
Yeah.
past. I wouldn't be a bit surprised at that. But
It always makes me think of Tom Sawyer when I see the paddle wheel in the back.
that's right.
I remember him well.
And there's a little schoolhouse over there. There's just a lot to see and a lot to do in Old Town Sacramento. So, as we say, if you haven't had the chance to go up there, you put the family in the car and do it for a weekend. It's
Sounds
really a lot of fun.
You're getting a little commission from the Chamber of Commerce in
Not
Sacramento.
at all, but hey, that's not a bad idea.
Ah,
Maybe I ought to
well.
write to them. See.
Send them our tape and say, for a few bucks you can show it. Huh?
Right. But here, of course, you can see that the architecture has been preserved and has been really well kept up. I mean, this is very nice, and I'm sure that was probably a pretty big job. I don't know how many of these buildings had to be restored, because there had been floods there in years past. But they've done, as I said before, a very, very nice job with that.
When you go to Sacramento or to Old Town where we are now, it's hard to realize that you could actually have river transportation all the way up to Sacramento from San Francisco, because that particular part is not a wide area that we see.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about going through and then getting into the Delta.
Yeah.
But you know, Betty, in years past, out you could, where Old Fresno was, they called out, I guess, toward the Mendota area, you could take the paddle wheel boats and go all the way to San Francisco.
Yes, that's what I'm making
and so,
reference to.
I mean, that a lot of people don't realize that, but that water transportation was very popular in days gone by. And here's the restored firehouse. Beautiful, isn't it? They've done a nice job with that.
Was that over where we met our bus after we ate? Were we right in back of that?
I think it was a little further down.
Further down?
Well, we're up the road right now, and we happened to be driving and saw a range fire out here, and there was a helicopter dropping water on it, and chemicals, I guess, and a buggy windshield there in the bus.
Yeah, I think that was. I've not seen that before. We've heard about the planes going and dropping retardants.
Yeah, and you see here, it was just right alongside the road. Yeah, well, you see that in the mountain times, they're taking off here from Fresno Air Terminal, and a lot of times when we do have those forest fires, but boy, this one was, this fire is right beside the road.
Did you see how dry,
yeah.
huh? Somebody probably tossed out a cigarette.
Could have been, could have very well been, yeah. And here we are now at Shasta Dam, and isn't this is beautiful. And this is set up so nicely for visitors as well. And we had Mr. Bill was our guide, who we'll meet in just about a minute or so. And he gave us a really great tour through this facility.
He was funny. He
was
just
great.
Charming. He was just a ball. I enjoyed it myself a lot.
And the way that they have landscaped this out is very nice too. And he reminds us too. Now, this is owned by you, the people of the state of California. So this is one area you don't want to throw any cigarette butts around.
You don't want to throw them anywhere,
That's
Marv.
true.
Not so. We have to always be careful. But I don't see that there are that many smokers anymore. We had one smoker on this trip, but you don't smoke on a bus, you don't smoke in the restaurant, so if we have enough stops if they do smoke that they can get that nicotine in their system. But there are very few people today that travel that smoke.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how many people have stopped smoking altogether. I mean, this is really something. Well, here's a shot of the dam from up above, and this thing is really huge, really, really big. And now we're going to meet Mr. Bill.
And I'll be your tour guide today. So what we're going to do is we're going to have you go ahead and get off the bus here and go right on to the power plant, and we'll start the tour up right away. Our construction Shasta Dam. Every time we get one of these big torrential rainfalls that are prevalent to come here every few years, it would just go and wash all the farmers' crops and their cows and their chickens and their dogs, and just all go sailing down the Sacramento River. So number one reason for building the dam then was flood control. Number two was to provide irrigation. We are the keystone of the Central Valley Project. It begins here. There were 12 construction companies that band together to form Pacific Construction that built this project. And they had a very simple concept. And that concept was to move the rain. To take the 63 inches of rain that fall here on average annually and move that rain over 500 miles through the Central Valley all the way down to a little garden paradise known as Bakersfield. And now you see, Bakersfield gets about 6 inches of rain a year. About as much rain as you might all expect if you lived in Baghdad. I'm sure you're all aware Baghdad, Bakersfield, after all, do have a great deal in common, don't they? They both start with a B, and they're both in the middle of a bloody, ugly desert. But because of the success of the Central Valley Project, the San Joaquin, Sacramento valleys are now the leading food producer in the world. And this is significant because it has a lot to do with the fact that this country is able to produce enough food to feed all of its people. Our ability to use our natural resources, water of course being one of those resources, has a great deal to do with this fact. Third reason for building the dam was to provide hydroelectric power. This power plant will produce about 2 billion kilowatt hours of hydroelectric power a year. That's enough power to use for over 1 million people and would take care of the city, take care of a city's needs the size of San Francisco. It would take 3 million barrels of oil to produce enough of this kind of power in a thermo-type plant. Now you see, thermal plants, they burn fossil fuels to fire up their boilers to produce steam to run their turbines that run their generators. We just use the water. So hydroelectric power tends to be clean, efficient, and cost-effective. Once, of course, you build one of these here curved concrete gravity-type dams. And they tend to be a little spendy. This one cost $120 million in 1935. It would cost upwards of $5 billion to build one like it today. And to do that, you think about this, you'd have to get the help and cooperation from all the various environmental groups that weren't here to help us build this one. And of course you'd want to invite OSHA to come on down and make sure nothing could possibly go wrong. Right? Yeah. And of course the trade unions then would all negotiate in perfect harmony with everybody, including the federal government. Right? So we just haven't been building a whole bunch of dams here lately, have we? Oh well. What we're going to do is we're going to be touring the power plant. We'll take you out on the spillway, tell you a little bit about temperature control device. You know, you guys, when you're driving across the bridge here, did you notice all that water coming off of the spillway? Some of you might have been thinking, gee, if they're running all that water off the spillway, they're not making electricity and we're not making any money. Anybody think that? No? No. Should have.
Saw the rainbow.
You saw the rainbow. Well, that is beautiful. The rainbow is beautiful. But, you see, this dam was built by and for the people of the United States. It means like you own the thing. And we make electricity the way you're kind of making money, right? When we release all the water off the spillway, we're not making any money. Or not as much. Still sell it to farmers. But anyway, the reason we're doing that is you see that water coming off those bottom 4 river valves that you saw there? Well, that's the lowest elevation of the lake that we can release water. And the lower the elevation in the lake, the colder the water is. Next time you're swimming around a lake, you notice how your feet are always cold, your body at the top's warm? The deeper you go in the lake, the colder the water is. So what we're really trying to do then is reduce the temperature of the Sacramento River for the benefit of the fish and the salmon eggs. You also probably notice those great big pipes sticking outside the dam. We call those penstocks. Those penstocks are 15 feet in diameter, large enough to drive a full-size Greyhound. Well, that bus like you came in, whatever the heck it is, it fits through there. Water comes through those penstocks as much as 15,000 gallons a second. It's a lot of water. That water enters into this power plant 2 levels below us. And will enter into those scroll cases, that funny little thing looks kind of like a snail shell over there. And it wraps around, exits out in the tail race. It goes on downstream 9.5 miles to a place called Keswick Dam, where they have 3 more generators that will produce still more hydroelectric power. So you see, in the hydroelectric power concept, then it's kind of like stair steps. It goes from one power plant to another, to another, to another. The same water over and over again. Don't hurt the water any. But it does tend to heat the water up 2 or 3 degrees Fahrenheit. And the intake valves, the penstocks, are about 100 feet higher than those bottom 4 river valves. So it works out to be about a 7-degree temperature swing. Now we have begun construction on a temperature control device, a device designed to reduce the temperature of the Sacramento River to ensure the survival of the Chinook salmon. We're fixing 8,000 tons of steel to the west abutment using divers going down 28 days at a time. Thing's going to be as tall as a Statue of Liberty, about 300 feet. It's going to take a couple of years to build at a cost of about $64 million of your contributions. So on behalf of the Department of the Interior, Bureau of Reclamation, and the Chinook Salmon, we'd just like to thank you all so much for your participation in the program. And understand that if this works, and we think it will, we won't need to be releasing so much water off the spillway to cool off the river. We'll be able to run the water through this power plant and produce hydroelectric power and hopefully pay for this thing in 5 years. We'll see. Now you'll notice today that when we go through the power plant here in just a moment, there's only one generator that's operational. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that if we turned them all on, like we kind of like to in the summertime here when you guys are all running your air conditioners, we are a peak power facility. If we did that, we might be warming up the Sacramento River too much. We got this guy down here at Red Bluff, sticks his finger in the water. It's not cold enough. We got to release more cold water off the spillway. It's kind of how it works. We call this the Echo Gallery for the obvious reasons. There are galleries on each of the 15 levels at Shasta Dam. We are on level 12. There's 5.3 miles of galleries, and the galleries go from bedrock to bedrock, all the way down to the foundation galleries below. So we're at level 12. Inside the galleries there's over 2,000 sensing devices that measure things like how much the dam moves, how much it leaks, and what its temperatures are. And we check these once a month to be sure that everything's nice and safe and spiffy for you all when you come out here to visit. I want you all to feel very safe while you're here. The dam was built to withstand an earthquake of a magnitude of 8.5. Isn't that wonderful? So, trust me, you're safe. It is so safe here. It is so safe that this place has been so designated for our duly elected, magnanimous, benevolent politicians to come here. Oh. Yeah, better. Isn't that special? I'm glad you see it that way. In a moment, we'll be making kind of a right turn, and you will notice how the dam you'll be looking down the spillway, which is flat, and you'll notice how the dam curves off to the right. That's because this is a curved, concrete, gravity-type dam. So the more water that's in the lake, the stronger the dam is. You see that water presses against that curve and shoves it into the sides of the hard rock mountain. We call it the parabolic curve of the dam. So you see that all filled up with water, you know it's nice and safe. Okay?
Well, Betty, what do you think of the dam so far?
Well, I think it's a pretty good damn site.
Yeah, this is really.
Well, I
really
enjoyed him, and the people, I think, enjoyed it a lot. We went under one area there where the spray came, and there were some little people that said, "Oh, I can't do that," you know. But we insisted, and they did, and enjoyed it a lot.
Almost needed an umbrella once you
Yeah,
got down there.
yeah.
But the view now from on
From
top
up
of the
here.
dam is really
And we had a
really
great day.
spectacular. We sure
yeah,
did.
It was a good day.
It was a
for
beautiful
this
day.
trip.
It was a beautiful day. Now, how'd you like to kind of slide down that?
No, you can do that, and you can tell me all about it. No.
I don't think so.
And think how cold that'll be.
Yeah, well,
Oh,
and this is what he's
goodness.
going to talk about now is so keep it cold for the fish. So let's join our guide, Bill, once again for some more explanation of Shasta.
And those fish were swimming their way upstream to get to the mouth of the Pitt, the Squaw, the McCloud, and Sacramento rivers. And the reason they were doing that is at the mouth of the river is where the water is the coldest. You see, the fish are very sensitive to temperature, and they want to get to that coldest water for their spawning grounds. Well, of course, as construction continued on the dam, it became increasingly more difficult for the fish to get to those spawning grounds. So what they ended up doing was trapping the fish 9.5 miles downstream at Keswick and taking the fish over to a fish hatchery in Coleman at Cottonwood. And it was there they strip the fish down and they get their eggs. And then they get the little fishes and they drop them back in the Sacramento River somewhere between Keswick Dam and Red Bluff. Well, that's just all well and fine, except as the water goes downstream, it has a tendency to heat up. And if the water heats up to 62 degrees Fahrenheit, it will kill the fish and the salmon eggs. So when you look at all this equipment, these gentlemen you see out here, they're with Fletcher General. They're the ones that have the contract on this. And what these guys are doing is trying to create an artificial environment to ensure the survival of the Chinook salmon, which has been an endangered species list since 1992. Now, as you look out the lake, there are 368 miles of shoreline at Shasta Dam. The dam, when filled to capacity, will contain as much as 4.5 million acre-feet of water, an acre-foot being equal to an acre of land under a foot of water, about like a football field under a foot of water. 4.5 million acre-feet of water when filled to capacity. It's down about 53 feet from the crest right now. And despite shortages of manpower and materiel brought on by World War II, this thing was done in June of 1945. It takes 100 years for the concrete to cure, will not reach its maximum strength until the year 2045. So the dam still gets stronger. It gets better as it gets older, just like a lot of us, right?
Amen.
Believe that? Anyway, the dam will be completely cured in the year 2045. After that, it's all downhill. But the experts have assured us we don't have anything to worry about because we know it's going to be here anyway. The dam will last somewhere between 300 and 1,300 years. Any questions? Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, I think Mr. Bill was a very, very good guide, don't you, Betty?
Yeah, it was really agreeable. He spent a lot of time and answered questions for us. And
Yeah.
I loved his sense of humor and the enthusiasm he showed for his job. You know how many times you go to these places and he's but he was
Well,
enthusiastic.
I think we also were his last tour of the day, too, so.
Well, that could be good or bad.
Yeah, I don't know. In this instance, I think it was good.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're going to climb back up the hill now and take a look one more time at the dam from up on top. And then we're going to take a drive by Shasta Lake, and we're going to continue on north toward, I was thinking north
North
toward
of- what
Alaska.
is that?
No, north toward Canada. But we're not going to get there today on today's show.
No,
but
look
we
at the
will on
blue
another.
of the
Isn't it
water.
beautiful?
Isn't it
Yeah.
nice? Yes.
I
And
thought it was so interesting. I always said that they, the equipment that they were putting up there was to keep the water at a certain temperature so that the salmon would and the other fish would be able to survive lower down in the river. So that's something that was very new to me. I didn't know that, but I'm glad they're treating the little fishies
Oh, you
real
are.
nice.
You're an environmentalist. Have you ever been to Pine Flat?
Yeah.
Dam?
In fact, I was up there a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, is that right?
Uh-huh.
Because what I can remember when that went in, it was a wonderful, wonderful thing for us to have here.
Oh, yeah. And here we get a little shot of Shasta Lake.
Isn't that
Yeah,
lovely?
that is pretty, isn't it?
How come there aren't any boats out there, I wonder? You'd
I
think
don't
there would
know.
be some kind of sailing boats.
If I had one, I'd be up there, let me tell you.
But maybe they don't let you in that particular area.
might not, I'm not
because
sure.
they're so close to the dam.
I don't know. I'm not sure. Hey, Betty, while we've got a minute or two, why don't we tell people where we're going the rest of this year, okay?
You mean besides crazy?
Yeah, right.
We do that regularly, though.
Uh-huh.
Well, we have our trip to the Holy Land. It's going to be all in Spanish. Can you
Mhm.
imagine that? That'll be just wonderful for the Spanish-speaking people
And that's
who
gonna
will
be when?
feel right at home. And that's going to be May the 10th to the 19th. And that is just Holy Land, strictly Holy Land, and they'll see all the sights that need to
Oh,
be seen.
it
So it'll be
certainly
just
will.
a great trip. And then on May 14th, we do Fatima, Portugal, which, of course, Fatima's in Portugal. And we do Spain, and we do Lourdes. And anybody that's been to Lourdes understands what a really sensational, exciting trip that is.
I understand the deposits better be on that particular trip right away.
Yeah,
huh? Put in right away.
they really do. Because, as I said before, the airlines are kind of funny that way. They do
Yeah,
want
they
their
like
money. And there was so much traveling going on today, airline travel, and I think that has to do with the mileage.
Well,
People are accumulating mileage
Sure.
by buying groceries, by
Telephones,
Yes,
a
if
whole
you
bunch of
you
things,
get
yeah.
$1 a mile now if you use some of these credit cards. So it makes it. Of course, when you go to use it, the fact of getting on isn't all that great,
No,
but
that's
it is
right, yeah.
available to you. So this is why airlines really need to know this.
So where else are we going?
Okay, then we're going to have the Alaska Cruise June the 8th,
Mm-hmm.
and our bus trip to Yellowstone National Park, Mount Rushmore, Old Faithful, Buffalo Bill Museum, lots and lots of American things to see. You know, it's kind of nice to see your own country.
Yeah, like we're doing on this trip.
Yeah, and then October the 11th, we go to the Holy Land again. This would be in English.
Mhm.
And November 5th, we go to Turkey.
To Turkey.
To Turkey, yeah.
That's right. That's
And-
a big trip that I'm looking forward to this
Yeah,
year.
well, you know, the Turkey is different. The terrain, everything there is different from what people that usually go off to Europe and you see the trees in the forest.
Yeah.
You can't see the trees from the forest.
Whatever. Well, Betty, it's just about time for us to wrap it up. But people are interested, they can give you a call, and your number is?
488-7443.
So if you're interested in the trips that we have coming up, do give Betty a call. Or you can drop us a line at KNXT, Adventures Travel Club, and that's 1550 North Fresno Street, Fresno 93703. It's time for us to say goodbye. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.